This is GeroTheHero, and this is my review of Berserk Episode 10. In this episode, we find out what the demon with the glowing eyes is and his backstory. He basically looks like a living billet, and he explains that he lived basically in the dumping ground for all the people that were accused for heresy and killed, and was trampled by the bodies and eventually contacted by the God Hand and changed into the form he is now. And that he is preparing for the coming of the God Hand, and I would assume it's for Griffin to come back to the Earth. Thought this was interesting because people that look different are shunned and feared because of all the fear of the heresy by the Holy See. This character and Mogus's men were all shunned because of appearances. So it's kind of interesting that, in this world, anybody that looks different or anybody that people hate, they're the ones that are accused for heresy. So he's kind of a sad character. In the next scene, Guts is fighting off Mogus's men, and he's barely holding them off. He kills some of them, but he's about to get overwhelmed when he finally manages to use his cannon to blow up one of them. And then he also uses his bombs to kill the rest. And then he finally finishes off the last of Mogus's men. It's kind of genius that he used both his cannon and the bombs. I almost forgot about that he had them. In the next scene, we see that the blobs of the dead are overwhelming the refugees as well as Iron Knights. And as well, the blobs again are turning people into zombies. Guts recovers from the fight and the collapse of the tower, and we have two interesting images. First is the fire in shape of a giant brand, which kind of explains that basically everybody in that area is being used to sacrifice, very similar to the eclipse event that we were talking about earlier. And we also see that the tower has turned into the shape of a God Hand. So we know something's going to happen here. And then we also see that Mogus appears, and he uses his power to shoot flames and convinces the people that they are holy powers. When we switch to the scene of Guts, he had just recovered from the tower collapsing and his fight with the other Mogus's men. We find out that Guts notices that the fire pattern looks like a giant brand. So obviously, they're sacrificing all the people, the villagers and the knights, anybody that's there, to essentially summon the God Hand. And it's even more interesting that the ruins now look like a God Hand. So obviously this whole area is being used for that purpose. We start seeing that there's blob figures that are starting to form into the different figures of the God Hand. So it's kind of leading up to the fact that we might see another vision of Griffin and all the other God Hand members if in the next episode, if not the following one. Guts tries to destroy these visions from the blobs, and he tries to strike them, but it really doesn't have any effect. But then he realizes that his main concern right now is to save Casca, because everybody's trying to pull Casca toward the stake and burn her, so he knows that he needs to focus on getting to her. So that's where the episode ends. From the previews, we can see that Mogus and Guts are probably going to fight, and Mogus, of course, will turn into a stronger demon. I wonder if he can even be defeated with how he looks, or if there's going to be some trick to it. I'm also curious to see what will happen if we'll actually see the God Hand next episode. Obviously, this is to bring back Griffin to the Earth. I mean, the Skull Knight was alluding to it a lot of times, that essentially someone like Griffin would be coming back to the Earth. So we'll have to see what happens. I'm hoping that the series will end strong at least. If this is going to be the only season that we're going to see it, and it's only going to be 12 episodes, 12 or 13 episodes, that at least it finishes strong. So I'm very interested to see what happens in the next episode. So like always, comment below, subscribe, and follow me on Twitter, and I will see you next time.